Yeah, are you a comic book maker, Church, or?
I am a comic book fan, 30 years strong.
I love that. 30 years strong, baby.
Brian and Sim may or may not make it. They did not respond that they would come, so we'll see.
Well,
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mr. E. Drew Love's channel.
Oh yeah, we're live. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Interviews, and tonight is a special episode. We're doing a very special Friday night episode to feature the Kill Journal, a book.
whoa!
Huh?
Wait. Do we know the guy that made this book?
I've never heard of him.
No.
Never heard of him? No. Well, let me introduce everybody to Adam Larson.
Oh,
Wow!
mine.
Wow! Hello, guys. Good to meet you all here. You're here from the lovely offices at Critical Content, where I'm writing a new TV show for Netflix. It's very fancy.
Oh.
Very fancy. Yeah, that was really interesting. Can you tell us anything about that? That you can get away with?
Yeah. So in the public forum, I'm writing an interactive show for Netflix that involves paranormal and horror elements. That's kind of the extent of where I can go, but it's interactive in the sense that it's a choose your own adventure TV show, essentially.
And it is better than anything Telltale ever did, right?
I hope so.
Well, you do know that we'll push for it heavily on Horror Talk when it's time for you to start revealing that stuff. You can come on.
Look
and
forward to the comic
we'll
author
do a
among
hard
us.
Yes. Yeah. So it's been anyways, it's a really a fun thing to do. It's really complicated, because when you write, like, this is what your script ends up looking like. Do you see this over here? See that wall? That's just the beginnings.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to map it all out.
Yeah. Interactive content is insane. I can relate. Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. It's the amount of work and choice points and how thorough you have to be in the design of it, because you can't make things up as you go along. It's that is not an option in that world. So,
and you can end up in infinite loops.
Sure, that's right. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and sometimes that's desired. Just so you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, absolutely. Sometimes it's not bad. Sometimes there are fun loops and circling and getting out of it, and that's part of the fun. It's the opposite of a comic book, right? A comic book is incredibly finite, right? Pages, panels, frames, that's it. That it's incredibly finite, and as a result, that's also what makes a comic book so special, right? Is that it is a finite thing, and it's not limited to a 16:9 frame. The panels can be any shape, and their shape is part of its part of its art.
Dynamic paneling is one of my favorite things about modern comics.
It is, right? It just really is. I would think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please, Church.
I was gonna say the way you can tell a story in sequential art with dynamic paneling. I mean, it's so much better than just block, long block. Like, you have overlaps, you have transitions from. Like, the coolest thing that I can actually remember calling out is having a character walk between panels.
Yeah, right.
In a singular storyboard, and you actually feel the movement. You actually understand the pace the story is going because of the way the paneling is laid out.
Yeah. The coolest thing I've seen was somebody walking between panels, but not like actually where you can see them walking between the panels. It felt like they were walking into a panel on the page, and then when you flipped it, they were walking out the other side.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And that
I think we're talking about a very similar stylistic choice. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Have you guys seen Amy McLaren's Reality Hackers comic that's out? It's on Indiegogo. Super cool Irish girl. And her comics, she did this amazing page she was showing to me on the stream, where she's like in a VR system, and then she unplugs out of like the virtual world and goes into the real world. And the way she built the panels, the two realities were shifting on different sides of the page and panels, and so it like went like a side-scrolling effect from one world to the next. And I just looked at that page for like 5 minutes, just like, man, Amy, you built something so cool. You created what normally would think is only a cinematic transition in a comic book, and it's awesome. And comic books are intimate with really small creative teams. Like I look at this one here. I got this one, Absolute, for my buddy Jason Bascom. And it's like, you look at this and it's like, he wrote it and he drew it, right? And it's this whole thing. And then he also had it self-published and printed, right? And it's like, for like one creative can give you this, right? And like when I do TV, like on Escape the Night, my crew is 250 people.
Right.
You know, it is not a one creative experience, right? It's a collaborative creative experience, which is cool too. But comic books are special that way, that it's such a singular creative experience.
I've always looked at comic books as America's version of mythology. Like we don't have a singular mythology outside of our multitude of religions and whatnot. But the stories of Superman and Batman, the for lack of a better word, the superhuman and the alien that becomes an American. I mean, these are our fictional gods. These are what we aspire to be as human beings.
These are our Greek myths, if you will. This is our Hercules.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. No. And I think it's kind of fitting that Hercules and Thor have become comic book characters because they were the comic book characters of their time. Right. Yeah. And I know, and when you look at the way that Disney has popularized, superheroes and the way they have, superhero TV shows on Disney Plus that are like kids being superheroes, it's like they've created this now mainstream conceit that superheroes in the way that like now you need a superhero that identifies with this group or that group because somehow they're like become these mythological characters that you need to represent everyone, right? Because they've become more than just Stan Lee's garage drawings,
Yeah. Yep. So you have some pretty cool characters in your book. That's for sure.
Yeah. Thank you. The Kill Journal it's been a great ride. We've been, we're 300 backers into it. And I think, Drew, with anything, it's hard to launch a comic book. It's hard to crowdfund one.
Yes.
I will note this. Church.
You're doing pretty well so far.
We've had a good run with it. And it's always humbling to think that, 300 people saw this and put up a decent amount of their personal money, right, to get this.
To make your dream come true, yes.
That's right. And they make my dream come true on one side, and on their side, they get a cool experience. In the same way when I go to, when you go to a movie, you make that filmmaker's dream come true and you get a cool experience, right? And so it's always humbling, right? You have to kind of go, man, this is a really humbling thing, and how grateful you are for these people who take this risk on you, right? Because sometimes you think, man, am I taking enough risk on other people? That's why I try to back as many as I can, and I can afford. I'm probably 100 deep now, but
you're 100 books deep. Wow.
Yeah, I'm 100 books deep.
Dang, dude, that's painful.
into backing, so I can just kind of like say I've committed to others' dreams, and so I hope that I'm putting out the goodwill that people can commit to mine. But yeah, the Kill Journal is a leather-bound horror graphic novel that is set in this world where there are revenants and survivors. And revenants are vengeful spirits back from the dead, hungry for revenge. And revenants, sometimes people call them slashers. Jason might be considered a revenant, but also the Crow would be considered a revenant, or Clint Eastwood from High Plains Drifter might also be considered a revenant, right?
Okay, so basically the revenants are people that have returned from the dead, but they're not necessarily zombies, is what you're saying?
That's right. Yeah. They're back, and because they're they're not an evil, they're a spirit.
So they could be like a wraith. What you're kind of, you know what I mean?
Exactly. But, yeah. Right. They're more complicated, right, in what they can do, and also because they're back from the dead and they're a supernatural being, they can have gifts, right? That, for example, Mr. Crispy, if Brian comes on board, he wrote this story that's a part of the Kill Journal, because the Kill Journal is an 88-page story, and then at the back of it, there's these 4 6-page mini stories that are the backstories of our main heroes. And he wrote one of those, Brian did, and in it, Finch battles Mr. Crispy. And Mr. Crispy was this war veteran who had become homeless and was living on the streets, and some people thought it would be funny to fill his pockets full of fireworks and firecrackers and light them. and which based on a real event that has happened, in the last 6 months. And this guy was lit on fire, and he died in the burn unit. Right, and now he's back from the dead and hungry for revenge. So he looks like a guy out of the burn unit, all like a mummy with a trench coat, boots, and anything he touches, he can set on fire. Right, this is his supernatural gift that came with him. But because he's supernatural, like this guy Dylan you see here, you can't kill them just by shooting them or running them over with a car. You have to solve the spiritual problem, or the physical form just keeps coming back, right? They just keep coming back for the sequel. They just keep coming back.
Like a Ouija board.
Right. Well, and so the spiritual problem in the sense, with an easy example for everybody is Jason Voorhees, right? You have to take him back to Camp Crystal Lake, where it all began for him, and drown him in the lake, where he was bullied and tortured, and they drowned by a kid when he was younger, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to solve this spiritual problem to defeat these evil revenants. And these revenants are these badass killing machines that you can never, like, tough guy, right? You can never say, oh, I'm just going to head on out tough guy one. Because he's going to always, like, you can't get into a fist fight and take out Michael Myers.
Right. Because he'd punch through your face. Yeah.
That's right. You can try, and lots of times these survivors who are hunting these revenants have to, because they're just trying to survive the moment. So they're trying to kill something that can easily kill them, and they're trying to find their history and their origin before they get killed, and can stop this revenant. And because they're all survivors of revenant attacks themselves, they're all dealing with this crazy trauma, right? And this trauma is what brought them to St. George's Church. And St. George is a preacher, kind of half-mad preacher who believes he's divinely called after a revenant butchered his congregation. So he's turned his church into a place of Bible learning, to a place of revenant hunting, learning.
Well, one of the things you have on your campaign is that these characters are hunting these revenants before they become one, and that, as just a concept, intrigues me, because you always become the monster you shun.
That's right. Isn't that right, Church? And so they're dealing, as they're hunting these monsters, they're also dealing with the demons inside themselves, right? And that some of it comes from guilt, that maybe the revenant who came in and killed their dad, in Marty's case, it was her fault. She invited the revenant in, not knowing, like, the urban myth she was dealing with, right? And now there's this guilt. Or with Finch, who is the one battling Mr. Crispy, he got raised in dogfighting pits, and his dad threw him in the ring to fight a dog one day when a dog didn't show. And then he became he would fight other pit bulls in the ring as a teenager. And
what an asshole dad, right?
Right, what an asshole. But Finch loved his abusive dad, as lots of times abusers are, right? So he's dealing with
whatnot.
Right. And so he's dealing with this demon inside, and is Finch going to come back as a revenant, right? Is he somebody on that path? And so he, even keeps one of the revenant's masks and buries it in the yard and visits it, right? And so he's struggling with that. And if you kind of scroll down through it, Drew, you can see some of the other characters. This is our major revenant for this first arc in Volume 1 here. And it's 4 issues, and plus, and there's an amazing epic mask.
Wait, you said here we go. There's some other characters.
One thing you just
during George. There's Sydney.
Yep. So Sydney, what you see her here is you see her as Kill 'Em All Sydney, but she starts out as a girl whose daughter was killed by a revenant, and she attempted suicide, and it didn't take, and she found herself at St. George's Church, unknowing of what she should make of herself or what she should do. And that's when St. George says, well, go ahead, Church.
Now, with Sydney, is there a little bit of Tank Girl in her influence?
Certainly in this design. Yeah.
I mean, I love it. I'm not judging. I'm just...
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm asking the tough questions here.
Oh, yeah. No, Church, right. There is this flavor, right? And this is Tauntaun's art style, this artist who built these pinups, lended it that direction. And this idea of lots of gadgets and bits on them So it definitely has a tank girl flavor to it.
Rob
though
Liefeld
she-
pouches.
Yes. Yeah, I know. Rob Liefeld in his pouches. You never know what's in those damn things. And then here's Marty, and she's the bomb maker in the group, and she's the one who was angry at her dad as a teenager because he was giving too much time to his new girlfriend, and she wanted the girlfriend to go away, so she had acted an urban myth that unfortunately, instead of getting rid of the woman, got rid of her dad. And so she now kind of hates the world and herself, right? But she's trying to and she's taking it out on these revenants, right? That's her way of trying to resolve her own failings. And then this last character down here, Drew, is Finch. And there's our he's grew up in the Mexican border, and there's our dog fighter. But so those are our characters, and this is our world. And imagine our world is a darker, heavier version of the one you and I live in, right? Where revenants are having these horrifying attacks, and then it's getting covered up. Oh yeah, thank you for bringing up Breck in here. He is our Creole from the swamps, gator hunter, has voodoo cult tie-ins, and he's maybe has the most mystery and the most unresolved issues of the survivors, which those unresolved issues will come to haunt the whole group. But he has his debt of sin he is trying to recover from.
Nice.
So this is our pack here, and it's like I loved this idea of like instead of a sword on his back, he's got a chainsaw on his back.
Yeah, I was noticing that. It's like it's still got the blood on it.
Yeah, right.
Freshly used.
Right. There was this feeling that like we also wanted this to be, this is a character story, but we still wanted it to be a horror story while it was being a character story, right? So you still get that, and part of that is building out these haunting moments. I don't know if you saw the post today, Drew.
I did. The one
Twitter that I
where,
made.
yeah, I did see the post.
If you look at the post, I can maybe let me bring it up here.
Sorry, guys. I'm in and out. I'm making some delicious deer chili.
Did you say beer
Ooh.
chili? Or
Deer
deer chili?
Deer, venison,
Okay.
venison,
Okay,
chili.
venison chili.
Oh, good for you, dude.
Every year I pay somebody to shoot a deer for me because I can't kill Bambi, but
but you can eat them. So what? Wow, that's our story.
look, Native Americans use every part of the animal, sir.
They
What do you
do.
use the balls for?
Deep fried with ranch.
All right, more power to you, brother. More power to you.
Look,
Yeah,
you take
you know what?
testosterone any way you can get it. You want to be all manly and shit, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that one there.
You're gonna let that one. It's gonna just sit on the table. You're gonna let it be.
Also, Bambi didn't have balls, sir.
Bambi was a boy.
Was Bambi a boy?
Yes.
Like, I've known a lot of strippers named Bambi. Like, I've
But
never
yeah,
known that to be a boy name.
But Bambi had a girlfriend.
Well, Bambi could have been,
Yeah. Nice reach, nice reach, Church. Watch your Disney again.
Yeah, get caught up to speed. So I'm gonna switch real quick to Google Chrome. So you're gonna see two of me for 1 second.
Hey, double the pleasure, double the fun, right?
So let me. All right, you got me there.
Yep, you're in.
Okay. All right. So let me just bring up that.
And can I
Yeah,
just
you're
say
right.
that mask is fantastic. What was your
Yeah.
inspiration for that mask?
Well, I think that the whole hope of that mask was to make something that it was to craft something that you could take home and you could feel like you were in the world, right?
Were you
And-
trying to on the Twitter thing? Are you trying to pull up the one where Sydney's cutting her hair? That one? Or
Yeah, in fact, I just got it up right now. And there's
I have
one
it. I have it.
realized
If
I
you
was
need
thinking, I think I got it here to work. And here we go. And do we
Or Marty
do we
killed
have
her
it?
daughter, yeah. There it is.
Oh, there we go. So you can see this is they're having this discussion, and this is Sydney's in the middle of her transformation, right, from shy girl to killer, right? And this is beginnings of that, the cutting her hair. And then you can see this middle frame is this flashback where Marty is telling her story. And this revenant came out of a mirror, and so at the end of this scene, she's like, "Hey, make sure you cover the mirror back up, right? Because she's haunted by it."
Right.
But this is one of those.
You see the little image of the monster in the mirror reflection too. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. You can see him there.
That speaks to the idea of the guilt that she carries. You know, she can't look herself in the mirror, kind of stuff.
Church, dang, you're good. That's exactly right. That's what it speaks to, is they're trying to cope with this trauma. And you can kind of see this T-shirt that Marty has on too that says, I rate dick pics, right? It's this idea, that she's like, that she's that in your face, right? To how do you say it without having to just cram it down your throat? It's like the shirt just kind of says it all, like somebody that's
well. Most dick pics you can't cram down your throat. I mean,
yeah, that is true. That is true. But she's like, to present this attitude that she's got, that she's just that in your face because she's that. That's how she's coping with her guilt. So that's part of her tale. But if you can take the screen back there, Drew, if you want to look at the mask for a minute. And this is also art by Jason Kreger, by the way.
I moved away from the mask for a second, so just give me.
Whatever you want, man.
No. I was gonna go somewhere else, but there we go. So.
Yeah, but you can see, like you're saying, the mask was, because what I love about masks is they're an art piece in and of themselves, right? Like you can hang that on your wall, you can put it on the mantle,
as a design piece, it's super simplistic, and it still like just engages that old school horror feel. Like it gives you that same feeling that the original bleached William Shatner inverted Michael Myers mask looked like.
Right.
But I mean,
it kind of has like an alien skull feel to it too.
Right.
So.
But it's not super detailed. It's not like ultra carved. It's not like veiny. There's not a lot of fangs or anything like that. It's not like something you'd pick up from a Halloween store. But even the set, like, do all revenants wear this face?
No. So this is just one of them.
Oh, okay.
This is Dylan that they're hunting that has this one. And what I also love about it too is it's like there's no better time to wear a mask, right? We're in the world of COVID, right? And where masks are meaningful in a new way that they've never been, right? And and so I think that's another cool thing about this. And it's built to wear, like it has an elastic strap in the back, it has pads on the inside, it's got breathing slits, and it's like when you put that thing on, you feel like you belong in the horror movie. And I'm
gonna have to get one of these and go make a bank withdrawal in it.
And now you can just say, "Yo, I got to wear a mask. This is, don't cite me for my choice. I'm doing the right thing."
Yeah, you didn't specify, dog.
Yeah. So tell us about the cover.
So the cover, it's a leather bound edition. Because once again, speaking that, like, what's cool about a comic is every piece of it can be art, right? And just like the mask, when you hold a leather bound something, and it's the design is based on this old Catholic Bible, 12th century Catholic Bible, because he's a priest. And he records all their kills in this book he calls the Kill Journal. So in a way, you're reading a story about a guy, and he's writing the story you're reading. And so you have your very own copy of the Kill Journal, this cool leather bound experience. And the designs in it, it's hard to see from this smaller image, but there's a lot of engraved design work in it that also plays into the story. There are
Drew, is that your screen? I was going to say, can you bump that up to about 200%?
Yeah, but now I got to find it again.
Got him.
There we go.
Oh, that's so fucking sweet.
Right? To get
That's
something
like some
that.
Necronomicon stuff.
Right? That's what I was feeling is like, how can I get that? How can I capture that kind of feeling? Right? That really brought that feeling to life, right? That you had something kind of sacred and unholy, sacred yet unholy at the same time in your hands. And hence that's where you get this. And then there's like they're saying the symbols tie into the story. So church, it's like this fun ride. And one of the cool things, that can happen with the art in this is the layering, with inside of the pages is to layer this haunting sensation. If you don't mind me sharing once.
As a designer, I can already see that there's been special care taken to make sure that the front and back cover are just slightly different from one another. Like
Bingo.
you have that repeated diamond pattern on the back that doesn't actually carry over onto the front. Even though it's almost a mirror, it's not quite. Like,
that's right.
There's been some thought put into this. That's fantastic.
Well, thank you for that,
The
George.
the cross doesn't carry down the way it does on the front, on the back. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
And then there's this eye, and then there's two symbols on the front that all fit in. It's different parts of the story, and there's something cool about. At least I wanted it to be a puzzle in and of itself. But then when building out the pages, it's a full color comic, but I've been showing you some of the fun black and white pages. I think in myself, I have this new account. I'm setting up this place called Global Comics, and I think I'm going to release both the black and white and the color versions in the digital world.
I was going to say for a second campaign for Kill Journal #2,
yep,
a black and white should be a thing where you have a hardbound black and white version that's just like, the Uncharted transcript kind of thing.
I know, Church. I mean, I love
black white and red. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, a little red tone for the blood and the gore. Oh, you're giving me a semi here, Drew.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
No, I'm with you. I mean, I would love that. I remember so much Sin City, right? That book just sits in my heart as one of Frank Miller's very best. And I loved what he did with that, right? By building this black and white world with these, the yellow bastard being the only yellow. And, it was a pretty magical experience. So maybe there is a black and white version of the Kill Journal with only the blood. In fact, I'm glad you said that. That will be happening.
It was just kind of perfect, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
and the pages looking slightly weathered would also be super cool. There was,
I wish there was a great way to go about that. Like I initially wanted to have the hardcover book weathered, but it's incredibly expensive to actually have real weathering.
Yeah,
because then somebody has to get by hand individual everything, and it unfortunately makes it just really unaffordable for backers.
Right. Of course, you could, instead of having like a flat black or a flat white, breaking up the panels, you could have something that looks like parchment paper that's been torched on the edges. You know what I mean, or worn that way. So it's just visually like that. You know what I mean. And that way you still have the pristine imagery. You know what I mean. So. Yeah.
No, that's a good idea. Volume 2. Drew, you've taken the words out of my mouth. But you can see, so this is, Sydney's coming into one of these support groups that St. George runs, these support groups for people who have survived. And he's actually holding those support groups so he can recruit people who are crazy enough to join the war. Right.
That's one of those horror tropes that was kind of founded with the Saw franchise.
Yeah. Right. That's a great example. And if you bounce to the next page here, Drew, if you keep going down, you can see in this meeting that there's something brewing outside the window, right? And I think that's part of what Jason has done well, and he and I have tried to build throughout the books, is this constant foreboding, right? It doesn't get safe ever, right? And that's kind of the opening of in page 1, right? Is you're not safe. And he invites people in with the idea that this group is safe, but he knows he's lying to them, because once you've been touched by a revenant, safety's gone forever.
Yeah, you're marked.
Yeah, you're marked, and this is how it goes. This is your ride. And so this is Sydney giving a brief flashback to what happened to her and how she found herself here. And this is him.
So
Go ahead.
so Dylan is Sydney's like haunter or something here?
Yeah,
Or
Dylan is Sydney's revenant. And so she ends up being somewhat of our point of view character. So in this first volume, that's who they kill. There's many revenants they battle along the way, but that's the one they're chasing, if you will.
Okay.
And then while this meeting is happening, a different revenant shows up, and some people run, and then some people stay and fight.
Yeah, they
And
stand the ground or whatnot.
Right? And you get a church, and those who stand their ground are the one St. George says, that's who I've been looking for. So.
Very cool. No, this looks really, really great. And
The
I mean,
artwork is
it's
absolutely phenomenal.
yeah.
Thank you, Church. Yeah, Jason has done such an amazing job, and Steve Cannon, who's doing our colors, has really, really built something epic. And I love what they've been doing.
Who is who's on letters?
You're me. That's me.
Okay.
So I'm writing it, lettering it, and if you need to say that they're not good, you let me know. But I
do critique letter work.
give it to me, because and in some ways I do it. One is it's a way to make them more affordable, so I can give the artists more money, because I try to pay. I got to pay what Dark Horse pays on page rate and colors, etc. So that way the artist can give me all the time. My line artist can.
This example right here that Drew has up on screen. This is something for anybody watching. Pay very close attention. You start with a wide shot, and you slowly but surely move into the page. It gives a sense of just a claustrophobia almost. It's almost a shrinking feeling. It's supposed to make you scared of what's happening.
Yeah, you're getting it.
This is so subtle but so good that like every panel is subsequently more and more small than it absolutely has to be, but it's with reason.
Yeah.
This is a masterwork. Like, this is so good.
Thank you. I love the way this page is laid out. I love the feeling of it, and everyone, who gets called into action. I love it. So, thank you for that. I think that there is, it's about building tension, in a horror story, and particularly in a comic book, and maintaining that.
Well, this is something that even like EC comics, like Eerie Comics, didn't quite get as horror comics. Like they would have a very standard paneling that they would buy. And here you have overlaps. Here you have like just panels that supersede one another. Your lettering like imposes to transition. Like you move through the page via the paneling. And as the paneling gets smaller and smaller, you feel yourself get closed in.
That's right.
To the book.
That's right. Nice. Well, thank you for that, Church. Yeah, I think that's what I'm hoping to capture. It sounds like it's working, so I'm fingers crossed I can keep doing it. And one of the reasons I also chose to do the lettering, and I was working on the 8th, and it's something I spent a lot of time working on, is because as the writer of it, if I'm doing lettering in the end, I can make all those adjustments to the writing now that the page is there, and I can review it and tweak it. And because I'm building it, I can go back to that line and be like, damn, that line isn't good enough. You know what I mean? But a letterer isn't writing.
Actually, I know exactly what you mean, because I write and letter my own books, and until they go to print, I will sit there and go through the pages and read them over and over again and think, you know what, there's something clunky in the way that's said. I'm like, you know what,
Right.
the way those words lay out right here, what if I used a different word? Oh, you know what, that actually makes
Yeah.
it so much better. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's like, it's just, yeah.
When people send me scripts of their works in progress, I look at it, and I look at it with a critical view. Like, I'm not the kind of person that, even though I'm your friend, I'm going to pat you on the ass and say, yeah, that's great, just go with it. I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, hey, you could do this better, and you should research the character, because, like, say you're using just a public domain character for your book. You have to understand how that character talks, how they interact with the people that you're using in that book, how they're going to respond to a certain question. The difference between calling them by their first name or their last name, that kind of stuff, it all comes into play. And, because you're doing something original here, you escape that. But at the same time, like, you're using horror tropes, and horror comics were honestly the basis of the industry back in the 40s. Before Frederick Wortham came out with, Seduction of the Innocent, horror comics ruled the industry. Like, superheroes
Really?
were nothing.
See, because
Horror and crime comics were the coup de grace.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
what people bought.
It was they weren't as violent. They were crime comics, and then there was a lot of, okay, so like people were really influenced by Edgar Allan Poe still. You know
Right.
what
Sure.
I mean? So it was kind of like
the impending doom.
yes,
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, I mean, The Telltale Heart is a work of fiction that you look at with a critical eye, and you go, this is something that has superseded the genre. This has defined the genre as a whole, because less is more.
Has Poe's stories been told as comics yet? Because they would make excellent, like
The tropes have been used, and
I mean, actually, like
Poe.
the actual stories themselves. Like, has anybody? I mean, somebody's got to do it someday. Obviously, it's going to cost a fortune to get rights to something like that. But
Not well, because I would be very familiar if they had been done.
yeah,
well.
I haven't heard of it either. But it would,
Right.
you know what I mean? I could see where like Pit and Pendulum, Telltale Heart,
Right.
Murders of the Rue Morgue. Oh,
I've
that would be
seen
awesome.
I've seen the Raven comic, and it wasn't good. So it hasn't been done well yet. But those are public domain stories, and somebody should capitalize on
That's
them.
what I was
True.
thinking. Yeah,
True. Time to get rid of love and time to move on to this, man. So this is the Kill Journal, and like with the 8th, we're offering monthly digital issues, which is I think an awesome thing. You can right after the campaign ends, issue 1 will get delivered to you digitally, and the next month issue 2, if you're a digital person. So some folks are, and I can appreciate that. I like a really cool physical experience, but we offer both, and then obviously the mask and a T-shirt for those who want to really rep the tribe. I'm a T-shirt guy. The Lost Pages is a book I backed, and I don't know if you backed that or know it, Drew, by Phil Diaz. And
yeah, I have.
And I got the T-shirt, and I got one of Preston's T-shirts, and it's like, it's just cool. It's cool to like rep like your indie tribe, right? Like
Right.
It's like, because it's like back in the day when a band is like, oh, dude, I'm the only one who knows about this little baby band that's going to become Nirvana, right? And it's like, but now you can do that with comics.
I'm a graphic artist by trade. I design T-shirts for a living.
Oh,
Are you
no way.
able to produce this full print Kill Journal that's on screen right now? Like, do you know that this is how the shirt is going to come?
Yeah. So fortunately, I live in Los Angeles, and we have the best T-shirt making operations in the United States or here.
That's not true. I live in Arkansas, sir.
Oh, wow! The got like he's been thrown down. No, this is where
there in Glendale. There's probably like 3 different.
I know those guys really put their work in. Like, I pull a lot of inspiration from West Coast.
Yeah, no. And I just think, between the American apparel factories and the other players here, we have some really excellent t-shirt makers. Maybe not the best in the country. That's maybe a little verbose of me, but we have some really great operations. And so, no, I've already met with them, seen prints, and we had done it when we were working through on the 8th. So these are a full proper screen printed experience.
Right.
And
Right.
so
The thing that I would posit is that if you're an indie comic creator and you're doing screen printed stuff, always make sure that the depiction that you're given or that you create can actually be reproduced, because a lot of times, like, people will go through Threadshirts or PrintNet and stuff like that, and they'll come away, like, they'll put out an all over print that people will pay 30, 40, 50 bucks for all day long. And when you get it, it's a square iron-on or a transfer or something like that.
No, yeah, all that stuff is no
Right.
good.
It's no bueno. Yeah.
No. And also too, I think also too, like the one that feels like it's almost like a patch, those sort of transfer process. I don't. That's not what this is.
You got to have that soft hand feel, which is
That's exactly right.
Which is garment dye.
That's right. Thank you.
It's not even Plastisol ink; it's garment dye, and
that's right.
A completely different silk screening process.
Yeah, that's right. That's. Thank you for saying that. Most folks I say, you say those words to, and they go, "Huh?" You get what that is. A proper dye, also too, because then the shirt doesn't lose its hang quality, right? Because lots of times, especially in transfers, like all of a sudden you have like this, your chest doesn't move, right? It's like it becomes a block or wherever your artwork is. Whereas you want something that's like you're saying, it's true dye, so that actually your shirt doesn't lose its hang properties. You know what I mean?
Right. And for those who aren't informed, when you do a soft hand print, a lot of the time, what they'll do is they put basically a bleach down on the shirt to suck the pigment out. They cure that, and it leaves a blank space for them to go over it with color over and again. And the garment dye that they'll use is, it soaks into the shirt as opposed to sitting on top of it. And basically it just feels like there's nothing on your shirt, like your shirt was designed with that print on it.
Yeah.
How do you got you must have good deals for numbers, because there's because screen printing costs a fortune until you can get your numbers up. So
so there's two plays about this. One is from our printing standpoint, we print out of China. So I do my board games as well, for two reasons. One, the price point can't be beat, and two, the quality can't be beat. It's really, really tough in the printing process, not on t-shirt, but on books, to get the kind of procedures that you can get in China at a Prints Plus factory China, in Shenzhen. Like the amount of things they can perform in a factory, versus like trying to get it done in Texas, it's night and day. Like at that same factory, I can get UV spot printing, I can get embossing, debossing, I can get leather band, I can get ribbons, I can get every single type of paper imaginable all under one roof. Whereas it's harder to find that in the United States, because the factory printing, the factory game here is not quite what you get in the East sometimes.
Yes, but they different. They are very different as far as yeah. But it depends. I mean, you could probably find a better price if you were looking for something specific in the U.S. that a factory here would cover. So
yeah. If we were printing a more traditional book,
right,
we would print U.S.
Right.
So that we can just keep it local, we could deliver faster, all those kinds of things. But once you start to get into a sophisticated cover, sophisticated pages, your price point gets to a place that's uncomfortable. Whereas, because I think for myself, part of making this appealing for backers is I need to give this to you at a price point that is realistic for you, right? For a backer to go home with, right? And so, because even if it costs me $20 to get one of these things printed, I can't sell it to you for 40, because then it just all the shipping, everything else in between, it's out of business, right? Mm-hmm. But if I can but I can find a place to get these. You have to print at least 1,000 of them, so you have to be willing to take that kind of risk. So I'm going to print everything at 1,000 at minimum, right? Because I'm thinking long-term play, right?
Right.
The Kickstarter is just the Indiegogo, is just the beginnings of it. And then there's going to be a second other waves of distribution down the road. So that's how I'm seeing it. And so I can give them at price points that maybe others can't because I'm willing to invest more money. Like I'm not seeing this as the beginning, middle, and end. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, well, I hope so, because this is just too great of an idea to stop with just a one-off. You know what I mean?
I hope so. Please.
Now you did tell me you had to. I wanted to give you a little reminder because you told me that you had to head out. You know what I mean? Because you got an important phone call. I don't want to hold you if you need to jump. So.
Yeah, I gotta jump here just 1 minute. It's just the network always has one. Go for it, Church.
Oh no! Before you go, I want to ask one question.
What's that?
Where did you come up with the idea for the monthly digital release? Because that's brilliant.
Well, I think what happened is I've backed so many campaigns. I think what happens is I'll back a book, and then I'll wait for 8 months or whenever it shows up, right? Some are coming faster, but somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
And then you get these monthly update emails saying, hey, here's a new panel that's finished. And sometimes when a book shows up, I've forgotten I backed it because it's taken so long. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way to stay connected to your audience so that the momentum from your crowdfunding campaign doesn't just fully die, right? And that's what birthed the idea of like, wait, and also I have to take more of a financial risk, right? Because I have to be done when I start. I have to, or mostly done when I start.
Right.
So I can go, okay, I got to put my money where my mouth is. And then this way, fans can be reading it. Like the 8th is already on issue 5, right? Digitally. So 611 people backed that. And it goes out to every backer. Yeah. And so now over this last 5 months, people have read about it. I see memes now of the 8th. I see people on other platforms talking about different pages and bits in it. There's comments on the actual issues in the Dropbox. There's all these fun things. And so the people who backed it have been able to stay connected to it, right? Like they're getting to take a journey. Now there's plenty who are waiting till the hardcover shows up.
Now
that was my hope.
Are you okay with the idea that now that you've done this, it's going to be replicated across the board?
Yes, and it most certainly will be, and that's okay. That's a good thing. And I just met with a company today called Global Comics, which indie creators can get on, and you can publish your works digitally, and there's a royalty split and et cetera, and people pay for. It's kind of a complex business plan, but it's a good way for people to digitally start connecting with you. And so I want to make that a real part of our business model, right? Is that people can connect digitally, because I feel like Webtoons and Tapas, for the record, more people read Webtoons and Tapas than all of American comics combined, right? Those animes on there.
Well, again, it's the same thing that we were talking about off air or right after we went on air. TikTok is bite-sized. Like it's something that you can consume in a very short amount of time, and a monthly digital release of 22 pages of an 88-page comic is something that you have anticipation built for, and it gives you that feel of having a pull list on an indie book. That's right.
And because it's digital, it's on your phone. And I think that as I've thought about it, it's like the reason why people consume so much Webtoons is because it's on their phone. And so when they're sitting in line, they can read it. Yeah. And wherever they go, they have it.
At work.
Right. They can read it. So it's like you can connect with it at any time. Whereas if I've got this, I can only connect with that where I have that, which is usually home.
And you don't want to throw it in a backpack and carry it to work. You don't want to. You
don't want to roll it up and stick it in your pocket, like
right. This isn't 1950 anymore. We can't do that. Like this is a collector.
Hey man, I was doing that in the 80s, man.
Well, I mean, just because we're bums doesn't mean
that everyone else is. Yeah, you get it, Church. And so and that's a cool thing, and it's a nice way for people to be able to, they can use it on their downtime wherever they may be. Yeah. And so I feel like that's a future I don't want to pretend doesn't exist, right? And so I I want to get in on it. Because I know that there's books I've loved that I've read on Comixology. And if the comic is good, whether you read it in Comixology or in print, it's the same good, right?
Right.
And
in fact, if you read it on Comixology and it's good, you might be inclined to go find the physical copy.
Bingo, right? Because then you're like, you know what? Because if you read the digital issues, and then if you have a special cool collector or something, it makes sense to get it, right? Because then it's like you read it and loved it, and now you're buying the leather bound, right? Because it's like, oh, that's something
because you've got to have it. You've got to have that physical copy just in case the apocalypse breaks out and you don't have your digitals anymore.
Right, and
I hate when that happens. You know, the apocalypse breaking out.
Yeah, Mad Max comes to pass, and you know.
You get it, and we're on the verge of it right now, so you get it.
Always, we're always on the verge of it, sir.
We're always 7 days away, right? They say,
Look,
right?
You're a great guest.
Thanks,
you're
Church.
on Twitter. Hit me up at Church Failure.
Yeah, I'm the Failed Superheroes Club, and you're Church Failure. So I think we have more in common than we know.
That's right. That's right. You need to be a member of the congregation, and we need to get you on the gospel, but.
Get me in, brother.
I think I speak for Drew and Simon when I say that you've been a fantastic guest, and we
Thank you.
Absolutely love going over the Kill Journal. This is an amazing book, and if you haven't backed it yet in the chat, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, we're Adam's pretty much family over here. I mean,
I love Drew.
Yeah, he pretty much is like, welcome on Horror Talk anytime he wants. He's just a busy man, or we would drag him on more.
I was going to say that makes one of us because I have a love-hate relationship with Drew. He loves to incite violence with me, but anyway,
nice. He just wants to kiss me in real life. That's the problem.
I do. I want to tell him to bend over and say but he'll never do it.
No.
But yeah, back the Kill Journal. If you can't back it, share it. If you can't share it, then put it on your Twitter. Do something. Make this book hit fucking 20K before the night's end. If you can't make it hit 20K before the night's end, make it hit 20K by tomorrow. You feel me?
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, this book definitely does deserve to have the love put in it. I mean, because it is really clear that you've got a lot of hands on deck. You've got a lot of like thought and energy, and you're putting all your own money into it. I understand how much that hurts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Up front, that's a painful maneuver. I mean, it's also what I do, so I got mad respect for that.
Yeah. Right. We go all in.
Mm-hmm.
We go all in. Right. Yep. Well, gentlemen, thanks for having me on, and thank you everybody for listening in the chat. You're awesome.
How dare you call me that?
Whoa. Nice. All right, gentlemen. Well, have a great weekend. Have a great Friday night. And go ahead, Drew.
I was gonna say, I was waving to you as you were signing off. I want you to have a great thing, have a great phone call, get that business done, man, and then you and I got to find some time to talk offline, man. Because
let's do it. Maybe this weekend or early next week. I'd be more than happy to.
Just let me know what your schedule is like, man. We'll work it out.
Next weekend, if you're free, we got to get you on the gospel. We got to spread this word around. We got to get more people back in this book.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go to church. Let's get on the gospel. I just followed you there on Twitter. Church, you can DM or however you want to. Let's connect on that. I would love to.
I'm right there with you, sir.
All right, my friend. Well, you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you later.
See you, Adam.
Buddy.
Bye.
Yeah, everybody, back the Kill Journal. This is, Adam. Adam is, a longtime friend of the show. Where we supported him when he had the 8th. You know what I mean? We supported the Kill Journal. I mean, it looks amazing. He goes all out. I mean, he paid a guy to design that mask. You know what I mean? And
it's so good.
Yeah.
That mask, like literally just the iconography that mask is going to bring. I mean, that mask itself can carry a comic book line.
Yeah, this is an IP that has slasher film, future written all over it. So I mean, and Adam already works in the film industry. So once this thing gets around, I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing this stuff take next level. So get the hint, guys. Watching, get yourself a book, get yourself a copy of this, because this stuff will be extreme collector material. Extreme
Well, and
collector
not
material.
only that, but we've got about 5 minutes left. I touched on this a little bit earlier. You're of an age that you understand that horror comics and crime comics were a big deal
Mhm.
back before Wortham. And even after Stan Lee broke the Comic Code Authority in their, just in their little palisade, he broke open the industry. But horror comics as a thing have never made the resurgence they deserve.
No, and it'll be difficult to get horror comics to get to that place because most of the comic industry is focused on what can be sold, and horror still doesn't have respect as a medium. You know
No,
what I mean? So
no.
I mean, I love horror movies, but
Yeah.
no one respects horror creators. I
Well,
mean, what except horror fans.
Well, my wife and I were actually having an intellectual argument earlier about what is horror, because I don't look at psychological thriller movies as horror. Like, jump scares don't count as horror movies to me as much as like Jason and Michael Myers and Scream did.
Yeah, that's a discussion that we often have, and it's about time we bring that we address what is a horror film again in horror talk. But basically, we've settled on it has to be something that engages dread. You know what I mean?
Right.
It has to really engage dread. It doesn't necessarily have to be a monster or supernatural or
Like,
whatever.
if you go to sleep and you dream about the big bad and it wakes you up in a cold sweat, that's a horror movie.
Mhm.
I will never wake up thinking about Jigsaw coming to my house because, Jigsaw just isn't scary. Jigsaw is a moral conundrum. Like, I think that the Saw movies are definitely psychological thrillers, but calling them horror movies,
I don't
a
know,
little
man.
disingenuous.
There's some scenes in there that make you fucking cringe and feel that
in
yeah.
in Saw 1 and in Jigsaw, I will 100% agree with you. But
Okay, so
in the franchise as a
Saw
whole,
one, wait, Saw 1 and Saw 3, that fucking needle scene with all the fucking hypodermics.
no, that was Saw 2.
That was Saw 2?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Okay,
Saw
well,
2
okay,
with
so
Amanda.
all right,
Yep.
so that one actually got me. That one freaked me out. You know what I mean? So
And-
that I would say that just based on the fact, because I'm hard to freak out, just on that alone, I'm gonna have to say that one's horror.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I'll take that. But I think that after you got beyond like 4, 5, 6, and 7, before you got to Jigsaw, like, it was just too by the numbers. But our buddy Bronson Gorilla in the chat says, I really like the trailer for this book. Have we played that in this show?
no, why don't we? Because there's two of them and they're both really good. So why don't we do that? So here.
My name is Sydney Valentine, and I'm a survivor. A revenant slaughtered everyone I love, including my daughter. They're evil spirits, back from the dead, who wield machetes and tire irons, and a bullet to the head won't stop them. After one butchered his congregation, St. George claims God called him to hunt the revenants, and he's recruiting survivors to join him. Most won't make it out alive, but at least they're taking a stand. God has his book of life, and St. George has his kill journal.
Oh, that's so good.
There's a war going on, and I've seen the enemy. Revenants is what they call them. Vengeful souls back from the dead and hungry for blood. I can't fight the war alone. I need soldiers. Those who face the evil that lurks in the shadows. Those who've lost someone. Those with nothing left to lose. I can take their broken lives and reshape them. I can make them into something violent and holy. I can give them revenge, but I cannot give them peace. Only God can do that, and He stopped listening to me long ago. There's a moment that comes when they know whether they're a victim or a survivor. There's a war going on. Which one will you be?
Yeah. So this one is $1,177 away, unless someone bought it since we started this. Yeah, $1,177 away from reaching 20K, and he
Yep.
definitely needs to get there. So
Absolutely.
definitely. Now, some of the cool things here, like the mask we're talking about, it's a great trope. You know what I mean? But
It is.
but the another thing that I wanted to like, since he's not here to gush on him, we're gonna, so like the thought process behind the survivor characters is really cool. Come on, load pages. But this artwork, this right here is an amazing visual piece. It has like little architectural details. You know what I mean? In between the main architectural details. Like when I saw this, I was just like drooling over the artwork here. This is just insane art. This whole book is going to be filled with just beautiful, beautiful art.
Well, having an artist that actually knows what they're doing is absolutely key. And this guy hit a home run. Has he done a project before?
Yeah, he did the 8th.
Okay.
Mhm.
Was it the same artist?
No.
See, that's a big deal because I have seen this in passing and had it bookmarked, but that was based solely on the art. That was before I ever even knew about the author.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Adam's good people, man. He's definitely a friend and a friend of the show as well. So we have him on as much as we can. He, like I said, he's a busy man. We would drag him on a lot more regular on Horror Talk, but he is a busy guy. He works in the film industry in LA. So he's
Right.
great. Works on major projects. Working on one for Netflix right now. So
Yeah.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming to the show. Back this book. Link is in the chat. Click
if you
on
can't
that.
back it, share it. If you
Yeah.
can't share it, then what are you doing with your life?
You can at least get the monthly digital issues. You know what
That's
I mean?
right. That's
So-
right. That's a new experience for CG backers.
He actually did that on the
Actually
8th also. He did that on the 8th also. So
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, for this creator, I would say
Mm-hmm.
like this isn't something that's common, and I think it's something that should be, because for people that back these, compendiums and these digital trades, and they're 100 and something pages, there's no reason that you can't get an issue update as opposed to, just we're working on it, here we are,
Mhm.
and then a year later you finally get the book. If you get these digital issues month to month, and if there's a delay, he's going to communicate with you. But again, it's like I said, about Drew, about everybody, these people put their heart and souls into these books. And this is something that you're not getting from mainstream comics and will probably never get from mainstream comics again.
yeah, who knows if mainstream comics will ever, step up their game again. I mean, there's still some visually stunning product coming out of the mainstream, but it seems that it's so few and far between now. You don't know what you can invest your time in. And when you start seeing some properties go to crap, you're wondering if you're going to like invest your heart in like a series and get a storyline, and then halfway through they're going to fucking tweak it on you. You know what I mean? It's just, it's like, it's difficult to know what properties you can fall in love with these days. So anyway, we're going to sign off before I get too philosophical and break into tears about how the mainstream fuck